Everybody, and welcome to Watchmen with Jay, Jack, and Matt. My name is Jay.
My name is Matt.
And you can't use my restroom.
And welcome to the show. How's it going, gentlemen?
It's going good. 2, 3, 4, 6.
You didn't see that one coming, did you, Matt? Mr. I've been podcasting with forever. I know everything that's coming.
I thought you were going to say I am the Eggman because that's what you have on your little.
No, because I thought you would have that typed in. That's why I was trying to steal it from you.
I almost went with Spooky Tooth because that is the band that has the cover of I Am the Walrus. One of those rare times where I was like, oh, I know that cover. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Spooky Tooth?
Spooky Tooth is the band, yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking either like Eddie Vedder or it was just Trent Reznor, but good to know it's Spooky Tooth.
Spooky Tooth. It's a pretty old school.
That was my second guess. Spooky Tooth.
So, what an amazing episode, right?
Oh, it's so good. Like.
Even the things that I knew were coming, right? Like I was like still like, oh, this is so good.
Well, I knew the ending. I mean, I knew they were going to leave us hanging.
Yeah.
But I love how it all kind of connected together and set it up, right? Because Dr. Manhattan's reassembled himself before, so I don't necessarily think he's out of the picture. But then the possibility of Angela having Dr. Manhattan's powers, but it cutting right before, I was like, oh, it's going to cut right before Inception, just like whatever, before you really know what's going to happen.
Well, do we know for sure there's going to be a second season?
I assume they will, but Damon's kind of been coy about whether or not he will take.
Because this is a perfect Lindelof ending. Figure it out. Can she walk on water? Can she not walk on water?
Well, and it makes a nice circle too. I mean, with how it started.
Oh, up there says hi, by the way. Live class here. We are live today for our patrons, $15 or more a month.
I'm not sure if I'm alive, but I'm here.
I'm reassembled after that episode.
So like everything.
I'm looking for frozen squid.
Frozen squid. And it tied everything up in a neat little bow, and it's just really cool to see Damon Lindelof at full Lindelof powers and just be able to like tell a cohesive story of one season using this mythology of the Watchmen. And God, it's just
and taking the mythology further down the road. I mean, there were certain things about these characters that I loved. I can't say more than the comics. I just think it expanded upon it, but it made it relevant. And I think that's the real hard thing about going to a season 2, because I felt like, I liked how this was so many years down the line, right? Mm-hmm. Like there were certain things that were just pulling from that. Like in some ways I don't want just like, 1 year later, everybody's back at it again.
Yep.
There was
a different way, right? It needs to go in some direction, and whether that follows Angela with Manhattan's powers, or I feel like there's a lot of ways you can go about it, but this one, it was so perfectly done. Just so cohesive story over 9 episodes that wrapped itself up. But maybe Lindelof wants that if he wants to go forward with a second season or a third season of just kind of crafting a complete story over 9 episodes and just kind of continues it. And what they did with the kind of the post original Watchmen comics, like I feel like there's a lot of ways they could go about it. But there's a lot more with Miss Blake. There's a lot more with
Looking Glass. And
there's a lot with Angela left. So
man.
And then you have, if Adrian Veidt in prison, he's still a chess piece on the board. We haven't gotten to Night Owl 2. I feel like there's still a lot of stuff they could tap into.
Did we ever find out? Because maybe I forgot, but
for those watching live,
what? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, for those watching live, you're experiencing. Matt has a fantastic owl mug.
I'm having my true tea out of
No,
this.
is that the Al from the Tootsie Roll, Tootsie Pop commercial? No,
it's Artie.
Not kidding. No, I was going to ask, did we ever find out why True needed the farm?
I assume it was because of Vite. Like Vite was coming back in that capsule.
Okay,
that's where she knew it would crash land.
Okay,
so
right.
and I mean he was at 8 years. Took so many years for it to get back to Earth, and we also know. I know one of our listeners had that theory. I don't know if it was one of the Ethans. I can't remember. I'm sorry, but I'm sure that they were ecstatic to know that Vite was the statue.
Yeah,
that gold statue.
Yeah.
Frozen in carbonite, except this time it's gold. So. So yeah, I mean, I thought that connected back to and we knew that timeline was off. We didn't know exactly when that took place, so that kind of put a pin into that. I think, and there was a lot of things that even through us doing this podcast, like we kind of were like, well, is what was it, Jay? Were the one that were kind of like guessing that True's father was Vite?
Yeah, I think it was. If it was me, it was a few other people as well.
It was in the air. Like we've talked about a lot.
It might have been one of the Ethans.
One of the Ethans. One of the many Ethans
this season.
They keep cloning themselves.
Like any season of a Lindelof TV show these days, we have a few good theories from a few different Ethans.
We call them good theories.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah.
All right, okay. All right.
I don't think anybody had a theory about the lotion in the tube. I mean, that's kind of puts a new spin on that. Put the lotion in the basket.
Yeah.
Put the
lotion I thought that was a neat twist, and I think it added more, or even maybe reduced some layers for Lady True's character, where, it was really just kind of FU to Adrian Veidt.
Yeah.
And it. I don't want to say it made her character more disposable, but it kind of did in a sense, where, she had this plan. Those that want the power of a god shouldn't have it. And she was done by the end of the season.
But also a worthy adversary, as he mentions. And I thought that was a really nice callback to the very beginning of the episode. I mean, how it tied those two things together was really great. The fact that, he he killed the one guy, right? I don't know what we had a name for that guy, but
Judd?
Oh no, the guy that he killed with the horseshoe. So
yes,
at the very beginning, and he was like, he was. I have it in my notes here, but he was basically, what did he asked something like, if he was a worthy adversary. He was like,
no, it's like good theatrics, but was not a worthy adversary.
Right, but the callback there at the end of the worthy adversary would be his own loins, essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I liked how it paralleled to the original in that Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt, was the main person moving the chess pieces in the original Watchmen, and it was his daughter that was doing it in this season, which again makes me curious what a season. I guess this would be season 3 or season 2. The third series, I guess, in this chronology after the comics. To see where it would go, because in both instances here, a Veidt is one of the main driving forces, but also Watchmen. Dr. Manhattan was a main driving force in here as well, as he kind of set up a lot of these pieces into motion, as well as Angela.
Yeah.
And Will.
And Will, and that was a nice tie around too, where like they ended up in the theater at the very end.
I cried. I got misty. I thought that was just really beautiful.
My notes are all over the place here, but I really loved that last
in the house, by the way.
Oh, and thanks, Colleen. Yes, the game warden. That is. But I love that moment when Dr. Manhattan says, "I'm in every moment we were together all at once," and it was just so.
That was more of a teary. That was more of a teary scene than the other one.
Yeah. Well, that was beautiful, but to me, like something Lindelof always I think tries or aspires to have a really good book ending to the story, and this season started with Will Reeves as a child in Dreamland Theater during the Oklahoma Massacre, and then him almost 100 years later in the Dreamland Theater, or the rebuilt Dreamland Theater, with his lineage, like with his legacy. And to me, that was just a beautiful close to that storyline. And a really, because he even mentioned like it was his origin story in terms of what Angela Abar went through when she took his I forget what it's called now,
the nostalgia.
So she lived through his origin story, but we got to kind of see its conclusion almost 100 years later, and I think there's just something really poetic and beautiful about that. That was moving to me, that got me misty-eyed. But I agree, the Dr. Manhattan Angela love story was beautiful as well, and experiencing every moment, and then her kind of, and I think there was even last episode was like, okay, why is the pool important? Why is the egg important? And then kind of seeing how it all comes, like all ties together, which is something that Lindelof does so well.
Mm-hmm.
But getting to do it just in one season and just 9 episodes is just so beautiful. And
not just the pool, but then the egg.
Yeah,
and like we had the egg theme the whole season, but the payoff of the egg and putting it in the beer and it just the last 3 episodes the whole season, but I mean it just kept getting, it was just like this snowball picking up speed and building upon itself. It was a crescendo. So
absolutely. We can talk about I Am the Walrus being the last song, but really it's like a day in the life where you have that just crescendo, in that section just leading to beautiful sequence of story. And I kind of said it at the end of season 2 of The Leftovers, where Damon Lindelof, from my perspective, had exercised the demons of Lost, if there was any for him. But to come back to a series of comics that is beloved as well as revered, and have the audacity to try and going to continue that story, not just kind of remake it, that comic book series, which is what I thought when I first heard it. I was like, oh, cool. I would love the Watchmen as a 10-part miniseries as opposed to a movie. No, he's taking the story forward beyond that original text. And to do it so well.
And we still had the elements from the comic for those comic book lovers. I mean, like seeing Archie at the end, I thought was a really great tie-in, and just how Agent Blake's character was just like people change, and the fact that they're arresting Veidt at the end, and to put Looking Glass in that scenario where he was someone who measured the squid's rainfall and was like traumatized by what Veidt did, had the evidence, and to put him in that position where it's like he's going to be on Agent Blake's side, basically, in that moment where they turn on him. So it just, the dominoes, one other, to piggyback on your Lost comment, there was a couple numbers thrown in there, specifically 42. 42 billion was asked for, and then the degrees was 42 for the squid.
Dropped it to 22.
Well, they dropped it to 22, but he said he asked him to have a reading on what the temperature was, and it was at
wasn't 8 mentioned also? I believe 8 was mentioned.
Probably 8's a common number. I know it's one of the numbers, but 42 stuck out to me. But just but you're doing the Lost rewatch, Jack. So I would.
Yeah, I'm already tired of the numbers. Okay.
All right. I won't.
I'm only on season 2, but
okay.
Jack Tequila says, very disappointing that Dr. M did not acknowledge Lori.
He did though. I guess he didn't. He said
he said "F you, Lori" when he exploded.
Jack, 8 years was brought up. I guess
8 years. Yeah, I did. Yeah, there was a couple times the numbers were brought up. In fact, the episode runtime when I printed out was 108:42, I believe.
But I believe the actual episode was 106 minutes. But still,
I know. But when you turn it on, it says 108. I went, 108. If you add up all the numbers, it adds up to 108.
Wait, it does?
Yeah, believe it or not, it does.
That's new to me.
Holy.
So Gat, yes.
Well, I like Colleen's response here. It wasn't her story. It was
boom. Nice. Yeah.
I think that's true because it was their connection. Plus, he was in that, old Timex battery.
I was thinking he mentioned Lori, but he mentioned Janie. He said, "Janie, are you cold?" At one point. So like Dr. Manhattan was kind of like all over the place. He started talking about Afghanistan. So he was, but can we talk about Keen for a second? Like, he kind of got his just
Mr. Jello pudding.
Well, my question is, did he knit those knickers himself, or were those available in some novelty shop? Because
you notice he was leaving a little extra room. So I think he was expecting.
But it's interesting that he chose like the Dr. Manhattan undies.
Right.
Next title. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, very fanboy. So I wonder if those undies were made in Vietnam. But I thought at first Keen turned into Black Ooze, which I thought would have been a perfect fitting for somebody that's a white supremacist to end up as Black Ooze.
Oh yeah, good call.
But it was just blood though. At some point it looked reddish, but at first I was like, oh, it's Black Ooze, but blood.
Angela told him not to do it.
Yeah, that's true. She was actually trying to save him. So
so he definitely was going for the
yes,
Dr. Manhattan. Trousers. But I wonder now, is that going to be a popular Christmas gift? The Dr. Manhattan trousers.
Next actually, it's going to come with Baby Yoda. We'll be wearing those underwear.
I was going to say next Comic-Con is a bunch of blue guys dressed in those undies and Baby Yoda. Like that.
Yeah. Now Keen has allowed just like any Joe Schmo just to like wear the undies. Like, I'm Senator Keen. But anyway, so yeah, I think it was neat. I loved how 7th Cavalry and there was a conclusion of beating Cyclops and decimating them all. But also Lady True kept meeting her in. Like, it was just so neatly, wrapped up.
I mean, in that moment when Lady True is kind of having her speech, and she's kind of lording over the white supremacist Cyclops group. I mean, who in the audience was just like rooting for the white supremacists at that point? You're all kind of like, yeah, like I'm kind of on Lady True's side here, like zap those guys.
I was on Lady True's side. I was like, kill him. I think it was too quick for all those guys. Like, it was just gaps, It should have been something a little more.
Well, they did have some, except for Judd's wife. They were all afraid. So at least they died. Except her, she's stone cold killer. She just was like, she's actually married to Clint Eastwood at one point, so she had her Clint Eastwood face on. Huh. So anyway, I think they did die. At least they died in fear.
That's true.
They lived.
I would think that would be a terrible way to die.
Or they died as they lived in fear.
It's true.
Okay. There you go. Well, that's even better. It must be your owl mug.
It's bringing all the knowledge tonight.
Be disappointed that there was not a Robert Redford appearance.
Yeah, I think so.
It was just interesting. Who knows if he'll ever show up? But maybe there'll be a new person elected by if they do a season 2.
Can they afford Robert Redford? I think he retired though, didn't he?
No, he did. He's doing the Marvel movies. He was in Winter Soldier and
Endgame. I thought he said he was retiring.
He had just that brief scene in Endgame, so who knows? But I mean, like, why not?
It's going to cost a pretty penny to bring they can get a fake Robert Redford and just have the back of him.
Money, just show up.
Well, unfortunately, now that Keane is out of the race, I mean, the other party doesn't have any viable candidates to go up against Robert Redford.
And Redford's a natural.
He is a natural, right?
I think you did there.
Yeah, thanks. I liked the part though when Veidt learned that Redford was still president. You know, and he was like, what? He also this was before, but this was when he was upset by being ignored by Redford. He called him a cowboy actor, which I thought was a really nice call to Reagan.
Well, it's very Reagan. Well, it's interesting because, you know, in this reality, Reagan didn't become president, right? Nixon stayed however many terms he stayed. Until it was 85, 86, somewhere around there.
86, and then we had the one-termer. What was it?
I don't want to be a one-termer.
No, I mean, like, after him, like, wasn't Gerald Ford in this universe? Yeah, he was. And then we got
one termer, and then it was Robert.
He's like in every universe, though. It's like he was just kind of there.
We also get the scene where a young Lady True shows up, which is very echoing of the comics, where, you know, you see her like all the way out in Antarctica wearing the visor, shows up at his doorstep, and I like it.
Well, that's where he says, "You can't use my restroom."
Oh, okay.
She's traveled all this way, and if she had to use the restroom, you're going to tell her no.
Well, you have to buy a cup of coffee or something. So.
Something in the gift shop.
Be a customer to use the restroom.
Yeah, I guess he has action.
I like how she was conceived.
Right. That was a nice. Well, I don't know if it was nice.
Maybe he just had a, you know, significant other that he met, but no, it was, you know, her, Bian, kind of taking matters into her own hands, which I thought was just a neat kind of twist to it.
Also plays off the fact that he's a narcissist as well, you know, and the whole takes one to know one. I like the fact that she mentions the whole rerun, like, oh, you're just sending these squids, you know, like you're just doing the same thing again and again. Yeah. So,
and then he was like, I'll show you a rerun.
Well, she does say to him, oh, you are just a man.
True.
It was something to that effect. It's like, you know, you're just a man.
But I think there was something to it, at least to humble him a little bit, to say, you know, he never figured he wanted to take out Dr. Manhattan. He wanted to kill Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
And she figured out a way to do it where he didn't. So there is something to, you know, her younger mind or whatever, or coming from a different perspective and whatever, you know, DNA her mother gave her to find something different in
that. So do you think there's still sperm behind the whole, like?
I would assume so. There was plenty of vials. She only took one.
Right. So
how long's it good for? Does that have expiration date on it?
I don't know. I assume he froze it. You know, it's like there's
exactly
kind of coming out of there. So I don't know the longevity of that. You'd have to ask a doctor.
You don't know the shelf life of frozen?
I thought the magic mug would give you the answer, but I guess not.
Thanks, Jack.
I had faith in you.
Let's see, what else did I have in my notes here? Oh, I like the fact that Lady True wears this halo of white, much in the same way that Ozymandias wears his like little crown, his like little halo. So that was kind of a nice like, and even the news guy was just like, "Hey, I like your hat," you know, like you know, I guess game recognizes game there. So no, that news guy doesn't dress that well, but anyway. I like the fact that we also got Veidt saying the end is nigh. That was kind of a nice, like, little, you know, like he's become the Rorschach. So I'm still kind of like going over my notes here.
You like Angela breaking the fingers? Was that a fun scene?
It was a nice countdown. I mean, what are you going to do at that point? You know,
just get the information.
Yeah. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I need information bad, but it's like I don't know if I can break someone's fingers.
Well, she's been at this game for a while, so she knows how to intimidate. I mean,
because I know when someone jams their finger or something like that, and you think pull it, I go, I can't do it. You're gonna have to get somebody else. I can't. The sound just freaked me out.
Here's my question: if Dr. Manhattan was able to, touch Keen's biomass and then transfer Agent Blake, Looking Glass, and Vite to his Antarctic compound, couldn't he just take himself out of there?
I think it was because I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I
thought the same thing.
I thought it was the fact that it was just it could travel along that liquid, and that liquid was touching them, and therefore it.
But he's touching the liquid.
Yeah, exactly.
He touched the liquid in order to.
I think alive. That to
transport him.
There's too much there. And again, we it happened in the end of the Watchmen where he got disintegrated or whatever, and he just kind of built himself back together again. That's where Ozymandias, didn't accomplish his original goal.
So you think Dr. Manhattan's still alive?
Oh, 100%. Because Colleen called out. I didn't see it at first, but she did when they were walking out of the Dreamland Theater at the end of the episode. It said Dr. M on the sign, lights were out except for DR and M.
So the first scene of episode 1 of season 2 will be Angela taking a step into the pool and falling in, and Dr. Manhattan laughing at her.
Maybe
glad you're not writing this show, Jack.
See, sorry, I still have the power. You thought an egg was going to do it? You're crazy.
We can all be thankful for that. Right? Sorry.
I think it'd be it'd be lighthearted. It'd be funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I just was looking over my notes and rereading the whole thing about Keen and thinking about him, of all the villains, laying out their super evil plan, and he's getting naked the whole time, I did kind of wonder if this was going to be kind of like a Superman 2 moment, it's like he's stepping in the booth and you think one thing's going to happen, but it's the other thing. So
right.
I think it was perfect for him, right? Because they all thought they were kind of wise to the plan, but a much smarter individuals really one pulling the string with Lady True.
Well, even Angela said that Lady True let you steal.
Yeah, I was glad that they at least explained the battery thing, because that was something that was, I had questions about for the last couple episodes. I'm like, but the symbols on the, so.
But they're so arrogant and racist that they weren't going to listen to Angela, no matter what.
That's true. Yeah.
I got a lot of Facebook feeds to prove that kind of theory.
You don't need social media to figure this one out. Let's see what else. I loved the allegory with the whole. You have Christ in the back. You have the
Yeah, from that kind of set up stage church that Calvary had, she transported it there, and then as she was trying to take the powers of this essentially a god in Dr. Manhattan, and then having the juxtaposition of the crucified Jesus in the background, it was a very
and then
kind of hitting us over the head with it.
Yeah, and then the hand.
Yeah.
Right? She gets the hole in the hand, just like
That's a good point. So
I liked how that all kind of played out. So just great visuals, great writing, great storytelling. Is even when at the end Angela picks up the ring and it's all covered in blood, and I liked how that I don't maybe
the blood left over, maybe that's his little matter. I mean, he's he's like an omnipotent being. Like, of course, he would leave something behind, right? So, like, yes, maybe Angela has the powers, but he's still around somewhere too.
Will he remember Angela?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. Like, maybe he'll just move on. You know, it's like Laurie's just like, no.
No, I mean,
yeah, I think he moves on.
I don't know. I feel like this is a truer love. Like the Lori thing was just this fling, but this seemed a lot more. It seemed to make him more grounded in humanity with Angela than with Lori or his first girl. I can't remember her name now.
Jeannie.
Yeah,
I think that was. I think Jeannie was the.
Yeah, you said it. He did mention it.
Yeah, because he was traveling, kind of in and out. Towards the end, we get this montage of the song "Oh What a Beautiful Morning," and
yes, Oklahoma, the intro to Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah, which we got at the very. So it was nice. It was kind of like wrapping up the whole circle. And I liked the fact that we even got to see like the characters that survived. You know, Red Scare. I was really glad Pirate Jenny survived because I'm like, ooh, what's, you know, like if there's a season 2, I assume that we'll see some more of these characters, perhaps.
Yeah.
And then
doesn't Lori say you need to save your friends, and she doesn't really save her friends to Angela? I thought she said save your friends, and she just basically saved herself. Just saying, just putting it out there.
I think she was still kind of a bit in shock. So I think at that point she was just, I mean, I was concerned for the first responders as well. You know, I was like, oh, this is, you know, they're all showing up on the scene because there's this crash, you know, and then.
Because I'm pretty sure that Blake did say save your friends. And Angela said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just.
I don't. Why are you throwing Angela under the bed? She wasn't.
I'm pretty sure that's what she said. I go back and rewatch it.
All right. Well, this is our instant reaction, so let's not all hate on Jack.
Yeah.
But she didn't do it. I mean, I thought she'd yell, "Get out of here! Go!"
We know Jack's the Adrian Veidt of this podcast. It's all just a rerun.
He had that one great.
Am I wrong though? Am I wrong?
He had that one underwater hatch thing, like almost 2 decades ago, and he just keeps rolling with it.
Well, I'm not going to bring it up right now.
It was a great theory. So,
anyway, I liked also the fact that we saw that Beyond lived. I mean, I understand Angela running, and I like the fact that she got to the theater and how that tied together. But Beyond stayed in that blue phone booth, which was a nice, again, callback. Get the phone call from the blue phone booth.
Yep.
Yeah, essentially, she could have just stayed in there.
Basically saved them. Which I don't know how she got connected to that phone, but whatever. We'll just let it be.
Well, I guess Adrian Veidt. Yeah, I don't know.
He connected it somehow. I don't care enough to do so. But
and we were. Well, I know. I thought he was spelling out Dr. Manhattan, but it was Save Me, Dr. Manhattan. But it was Save Me, Daughter.
Yep. But I like that. And
I did like that. I mean, it was too obvious to be Dr. Manhattan, but I really thought it was going to be Dr. Manhattan. When it was said, "Oh, Save Me, Daughter," I go, "Yeah, it's better than Save Me, Dr. Manhattan."
Oh yeah, the Save Me, Daughter part. Yeah. Colleen, to at least prove Jack wrong, says no. Beyond told her to tell the cops, her friends, to leave. Lori told her to run.
And either way, she didn't do it. So
why Angela ran for cover?
Angela ran for cover, but she didn't tell her.
I think they kind of figured it out.
Cops friend.
It all worked out in the end. The good guys won, Jack.
Did some of the first responders die? We don't know that.
But okay, in perspective though, like what would a Lady Manhattan have been like, right?
Well, I love that call from El Reef saying like for all of his powers, it was kind of wasted, right? And if Lori gets those, like, what does she do with them? But I do think there's something noble to Dr. Manhattan kind of choosing after Vietnam and doing something that he thought was probably the right thing, even though it would have these consequences of winning the Vietnam War, and maybe saying yes, he could do all of these things, but does that actually solve the problem of humanity? And he just kind of takes him out of he says I'm just going to take myself out of the equation. Was Dr. Manhattan's powers a waste in that sense?
Well, destroying a country wasn't the right thing to do.
No, but if you go back to 72, 73, would Lyndon Johnson or, an early Tricky Dick be yes, when it's the Vietnam War?
Well, Johnson was gone by then, but.
Sure, but I'm saying either or, would they say, if someone could just, snap their fingers and won the Vietnam War, would they have taken that choice? Absolutely. It wasn't years later we can look at this and say, okay, we should have never been in Vietnam, right? But back then, if somebody could have snapped their fingers and won it, sure, right? So I think there's some
Tricky Dick had a plan.
He did.
He wasn't going to tell anybody till after the election. After the election, I don't know what happened. Maybe Dr. Manhattan said, "I am not working with you. Sorry."
Well, in the Dr. Manhattan did, and that's why. But anyway.
But no, don't you think Lady True, on paper, where she says, I'm going to end world hunger, I'm going to eliminate all the nuclear weapons. On paper, that's a pretty good start, right?
But nobody has the hubris to say, I want to be a god and actually do that.
Oh, I know. It's because they're doing it for their own personal gain. But on paper, I'm saying on paper.
Sure,
if someone was going to say that to you, say, yeah, you got my vote.
But I think Manhattan went the better route and just saying, I'm just taking myself out of the equation because no matter what I do, if you say your thing is right at the time, but there's ramifications for making those choices, much like choosing to kind of end the Vietnam War and making Vietnam a state. There's obvious ramifications of that were negative, and the colonization of Vietnam has negative consequences. So, while I do agree that, yes, with the powers of Dr. Manhattan, what would you do? What would you do if you had the powers of a god? Is a very interesting question to ask yourself, and I think it would be an interesting season.
I definitely play the lottery.
If Angela has the powers of a god, what would you do?
Why would you even play? If you're a god, you just make your own gold, man.
Exactly.
That's kind of cheating. It's kind of
so is playing the lottery. Okay, moving on. stealing Jay's line. Moving on.
If you see why I say it, Matt, you see why I say it.
I do.
I got to think that half the people are agreeing with me right now. Yeah, I play the lottery.
Don't think they
8%, Jack, that are with you. But yeah, I just I have seen Dr. Manhattan's side here in that take yourself out of the equation because I don't know. There's just
isn't that what they always people will say when they're defending, say, God? They say, why doesn't he end wars? Why does he stop starvation? Why doesn't he do? Because he allows us to lead our own lives. We're not robots, and that's how. So is that what Manhattan's doing? He's just like, you need to lead your own lives.
Okay, so Reeves at the very end, which plants the seed in Angela, says considering with all that he could do, he could have done more or something like that.
Right.
So I think you're kind of posing that question, but he also earlier on, Will Reeves also gave the clue to Angela: in order to make an omelet, you have to break some eggs. So is the future Dr. Manhattan and Mrs. Manhattan, or she can be a doctor too. I don't care.
Well, that's nice of you. That's right.
Well, okay, whatever. All right, don't get mixed up in my words here. What I'm trying to say, though,
I don't get mixed up in your words.
What I'm trying to say, though, is if both of them have these powers, are they the new omelet? The broken eggs, whatever comes out of this incident that has occurred, then now you have these other two beings, and maybe together they can, change things. I don't know. Maybe we'll see the what if factor. If we did change all of these things, how would things happen? I mean, we saw part of that with what happened on the moon of Jupiter, right? Like,
again, I asked this question though: if we were going to have a season 2, wouldn't we know about it already?
Not necessarily, because they could take 2 years.
I know we've talked about this, but it's well received. The show's, people love the show. I think everyone would be in for another season.
Yes,
maybe,
but there's been no talk about it yet.
You don't need to be ready for fall 2020 to have.
Oh no, I know. I realize it's HBO, and it could be, like
be fall,
all the other shows.
It could be fall 2022. It doesn't matter. So I think from the perspective of, Lindelof might want to step back and say, do I want to take on a season 2 or Lindelof and crew, like his whole.
Then I'm sure HBO's like, come on, man, like let's do it, like just say the words, let's go, and he could be like, I need a moment.
Use the same tagline that they did after A New Hope or Star Wars at the time. Vader lives. We could have Manhattan lives.
Sure,
stickers and stuff like that, and then that way we know there's going to be a season.
This series of comics came out in 1985. This storyline didn't happen, but 34 years later. So I think he can take whatever amount of time he wants to take.
All right, 34 years later, I will be really old. 91.
Really old.
I would rather have a masterpiece than another piece of crap.
Exactly.
So, and
it takes 34 years?
No, I'm not saying 34 years, but he can take a year and a half. He can take 2 years before season 2.
Okay, I'll give him to the end of next week to make this announcement.
All right. Sure. Well, tune in next season 2 when Jack's not on the show, and Jay and I are back in 34 years.
No, seriously, if I would be having to change my diaper all the time. I mean, I'll be 91.
Jack will still be around. He'll still be crazy hanking it up somewhere. We'll just set up a feed just for himself. Nobody watches it. It's just for himself somewhere.
As long as I'm happy.
It's like, yeah, great grandpa. He sits in front of that computer. It's like, is it recording? Nah. But it makes him happy. Just let him do it.
Well, I mean, to put it in perspective of the movie, like that came out almost 10 years ago, right? Like the movie, somewhat well received, also somewhat criticized, I mean, it couldn't gain the whole scope of the comic book. And at the time, nuclear war was not something that was on the minds of people. And so the fact that Lindelof just said, I'm not going to rehash this whole thing. I'm going to bring in something that's very relevant, that's very topical, and I'm going to push the boundaries and do what the comic book did of the day. Like he didn't, so I think that's the beauty of it is that we can.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Could this just be it?
I'd be fine.
But I think, the creative team behind Watchmen needs to decide and maybe just take some time. And that's why you're probably not going to have an announcement yet. I think they need to take some and, and get to it. And Got Tequila says that he owns the original comics. Congratulations, Scott. So do I. But who knows?
I have a handful of the original issues. I don't have the entire
12. I probably own the fake ones.
And then I have a graded set as well. I have actually the graded first issue sitting.
You get your reader beater copies, and then you got the old.
Yeah, I have my readers, and then I have the collected, book as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
I would have given it to Jack, but that would have required reading. So
you get it back. He took it into the bathtub. It's all like warped and stuff.
Well, I gave him the Hamilton book. I don't know if he's read the damn thing, but
I'm reading it. Yes.
Sure. We don't want any.
I am.
I don't think Jay wants to return.
I got to tell you, the Hamilton. I don't care about his childhood. I just don't care.
That's only like the first 50 pages, man.
I know, but it's just like, oh God, is he so boring as a child?
What are you talking about? Like his dad left him, his mom died, and then he became like a clerk for this guy's business at 10 years old. What did you do at 10 years old? Skip school?
No, I couldn't skip school at 10. No.
Sure.
Well, I went to work with my dad, I think, at 10.
Yeah. Then what did you do with that? Nothing. Alexander Hamilton founded America.
You got to have that origin story.
And he lost a gun battle, which I probably wouldn't have done.
He intentionally lost a gun battle. We'll get to it.
Well, that's pretty smart on his part.
Well, the whole duels at the time were not necessarily to kill somebody. It was like this whole.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Well, if anybody out there really wants Jack to read the comic, you can send him your copy. I will just say
I will read the comic once I find out there's a season 2.
Okay, warning though, you might get it back with a sample of number 2346 on top of it. So
that depends. It depends on the page. It could be. You could have.
Well, I think, Matt, and you can confirm this for me. We talked about doing this podcast how many months ago? Maybe a year ago. I don't know. We talked about doing
it. Summertime, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. It all blends together.
At that time, we can go check the chat on our Facebook group or Facebook page, whatever it is. And we said, Jack, out here, make sure you watch the movie. You don't even have to read the comic book.
Did I watch the movie?
The movie. And was it a week before the show aired? Jack was like, I don't know if I can watch the movie. And
you didn't even know you podcast about it. You were like,
I didn't know. What was I doing? I'm podcasting 6 days a week right now.
Again, aren't you like semi-retired or whatever? Like, grandpa daycare, but like just watch it when the kids are.
Is there any retirement when you have young kids in your house?
There's only a couple sex scenes. I mean,
no, I'm just saying. There's no retirement when you have young kids in your house.
But anyway, so yes, we can give him the comic book and to read it by season 2. Even though it's 2 years away, I guarantee you that thing will be read before the first episode drops.
I read Bazooka Joe.
They haven't made that movie yet.
I know.
They have.
That drives me. They should have.
Man.
Well, there you go, Jack. There is some other homework for you. You can work on making your own TV show called Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka Joe. Well, I think they got rid of Bazooka Joe now. He's gone.
No, Bazooka Joe's still around.
No. I thought they got rid of him. They don't use. It's something else in it now.
Well, still Bazooka Joe.
I think it's Drone Strike Jane. Is
modern adaptation. Gentlemen, any other thoughts about this episode before we go on to listener feedback?
Amazing episode. Loved it. Loved this whole season. I just
each episode kept getting better and better and better and better. This episode, it's funny because at one point I looked down, I go, how's it almost 10 o'clock?
Right? Yeah.
I said, how's it almost 10 o'clock? I go, it just seems like I've been watch this for like 10 minutes. I go, holy crap, this is almost over.
Yeah.
And a couple,
because it was so, you just, like the comics, you just get so into it. You gotta love it. So
fair enough. I would just say that like a couple weeks ago, I started rewatching this season, like as leading up to this final, and I thought it was even more rewarding going back to that first episode and seeing some of those elements. So
this is one of the few shows these days where I want to go back and like rewatch it, like ASAP. Just in the sense of like having time to not only there's so many shows I have to watch like while it's airing, right? Like Good Place right now, like we're struggling to make sure we're keeping up with Good Place and all the other things out there. But like, yeah, I want to rewatch Watchmen already. Did
you finish Silicon Valley?
I haven't watched Silicon Valley yet. Like I'll get.
So I guess I can't talk about it. I just finished it last night.
And I love Silicon Valley. It hits a little close to home for me because that's just the industry.
Because you do have a big head.
No, I've worked with tech bros and tech douchebags my entire life, but or it's my career.
And you're always drinking a big gulp Coke.
It hits really close to home for me, but either way, I love Silicon Valley. But like I would even before watching that, I would watch The Watchmen again because it was just so.
No, I'm telling you need to watch Silicon Valley.
No, I'm sure it's fantastic. Everyone's saying it's great. But I'm saying how good Watchmen is. Like, I always want to rewatch it again because it was just so good.
Yeah, I want to see like all of the references to the callbacks, like and see how it all kind of ties together. We didn't even mention it, but we learned that Dr. Manhattan, when he talked to Will Reeves it even told him, like, look, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I want you to make a deal with Lady True. So,
yeah.
There's a lot of things checked off. And even if we didn't get the final answer, and I guess that would be the one last question I would lay to you guys. Do you think she has the power?
One second. I think the recording stopped for some reason. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
It's still going on.
Yeah.
And a couple,
because it was so you just like the comics, you just get so into it. I love it. So
all right, so it looked like it stopped right after Jack saying the comics.
Oh, okay.
Because it was so you just like the comics, you just get so into it. But StreamYard's still recording.
It is, but I'm not going to go back and like splice it together. I don't have time.
Yeah, this is like our own little mini rerun.
Can you imagine if Lindelof had that attitude? You made a mistake. No, I'm not going back. I'm not going back and doing it. No, forget it.
I mean, if Colleen wants to just post this on, that's fine. But
all right, last question I wanted to ask you guys though was do you think she got the power at the end?
I think she did.
I'm with you on that. I mean,
I would say yes, because it would be a letdown if she didn't.
Right, and it just tied in so perfectly. Like from the first episode, she was talking about eggs and like scrambling eggs and the light and dark.
What came first? I mean, I think it has to.
Even the fact that they set it up at the very, very first episode with Will Reeves talking to. Was it the first episode or the second episode? Where it was the second episode.
Second one, yeah.
Where it sets it up where he gives the idea about like, well, maybe Dr. Manhattan gave me his powers. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's been there. It would only make sense. So I'm with you. The math equation equals.
I wanted to disagree with you guys, but I can't. I think she has the power.
And that's the power right there. If Jack can't disagree with you. To use that meme of the guy going like. That's it right there. All right. Well, that is what we thought about this episode and this season, the first season of The Watchmen.
Or maybe the only one.
I remember that it to me, the first time I read the Watchmen comic series, and this is the book that I got. Like I went and bought it in my teenage years to read the comic series, and just my mind being blown at just the story was just so tight and everything just tied together so well, and the ability of Damon Lindelof and being a Damon Lindelof fan and talking about his work for the better part of almost 2 decades. It'll be 15 years. It's been over 15 years, right? No, it'll be 15 years next October. Right? No, or was it 15 years this October?
2000.
No, in May.
5. It'll be 5. No. It'll be 15 years.
Oh, October 22nd, right?
No, October 1st.
Oh, October 1st. That's right. I'm sorry. I apologize. You were putting me to sleep.
Appreciating his work for that long and just seeing him over these 15 years, almost 15 years, and to take these two things that I love kind of separately and nail it so well to continue the story is just a home run, and the likes of which I just didn't think was possible. And kudos to Lindelof for taking on that challenge. Kudos to the entire team. The acting was incredible. The writing was incredible. The directing was incredible. And the cinematography was amazing. The score was fantastic.
Special effects, everything.
Everything was just top-notch perfect, and I couldn't have asked for more. There's not any space within the season like disappointed. And which, considering the source material and what it was trying to do, is incredible and makes it one of the best shows of 2019, hands down.
Yeah, I would agree.
But it got no awards, right? No Golden Globes nominations.
Emmy's late for that. I don't know.
I heard it was snubbed. That's what people were saying.
Sci-fi and comic books get done, but this was high art to the 10th degree. All right, let's check in with our feedback. We don't have any phone calls, but it wouldn't have been a podcast this season without an email from Ethan. Hey, fellas, we got 10 minutes before this, and man, it's been fun. So much can happen in 9 weeks in real life and on TV. I'll try to throw something witty about the show down below, but I did want to take a minute and say thanks for doing the podcast. I know as we go on, life can change around us, but I don't mind saying this because I've had some wine. It's really nice to have some Olive. I'm going to type it. Constance. Stay tuned for show after the show. Show thought after the show. I got nothing. See you soon. No theories or anything, Ethan. Interesting.
Huh. Did we get a follow-up email then?
No follow-up.
Oh, I hope he didn't disintegrate.
I'll ask him tomorrow because he's going to be on the Lost Rewatch tomorrow.
Oh, that's
a lot of good that does us, Jack.
Yeah, well, I'll ask him.
Well, you know what? Just like Dr. Manhattan, I'm in all places at once. So,
yep. I'll co-sign that.
Okay.
Matt is my constant.
Oh, thanks. And sadly, Jack is mine.
I mean, on paper, Jack would be my constant, but I've been with him too long. So
you're not breaking my heart.
All right. Well, that will do it.
That's from this great season. That one email. That's it.
That's it.
Slackers.
It's tough doing.
What about anybody in the chat? Do they have a question, or did they leave?
Here's your chance. I mean, it's been Colleen, Gott, and Sherry said something, but listen, maybe all we need to do is say what we thought, and that's enough.
Well, I appreciate all the listeners that wrote in, called, had their theories, their ideas, and everyone that listened to the show. So I appreciate Jay and Jack having me on. This has been great. So, and a dream come true for me to be able to podcast with these two veterans from the lost, days to now. So, and hopefully,
done a podcast just with the three of us.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah. So it's always been a mishmash of other stuff, right? You know?
Yeah, but like just the three of us for like an actual series of podcasts, right?
I guess not. Because I've been podcasting with Matt so long, it's like, oh my god. But anyway,
been like say for Owen Barus here and there, Ramblecast here and there, but really, this is
yeah. So thanks again for having me on, and this is
I said I wouldn't do it unless Matt did it,
and I said I wouldn't do it unless Matt did it.
Aw, well,
we were both kind of hoping Matt would say no.
Well, I would be here for season 2 if it happens. When it happens, if it doesn't, I am fine with the season the way it is. I like the story that was told. So
it's a great story. Scott asks, Matt, when are you going to see Star Wars?
I will see Star Wars on Friday, and I will go on social media blackout sometime after Wednesday. So it's going to be hard because
would it come out Thursday?
Comes out, yeah. I think some of the early, and actually, I think the premiere is tomorrow, the official premiere. So they'll start to be spoilers kind of out there. So I'm going to try to limit most of my social media contact just because I've made it this far. So, and I'm seeing it with my family. So it's kind of usually I go to midnight shows or see it before them, but experience it all at the same time. So
we bought a ticket for Zach. And he's been like, I don't want to go, because he kind of hates everything when you initially ask him to do something. But I really want to go with him.
He reminds me a lot of somebody.
My wife?
No.
Maybe a lot.
I thought, Jay, I thought you were getting teary-eyed when you saw those kids sleeping on the stage. You're like, oh, it's so sweet. They're sleeping.
Time. It's like the EP commercial, man. It's just like... But it's something about the holiday season with the commercials, like, and they don't really air it anymore, but the Scrooge with the Honey Nut Cheerios commercial is like, nobody can say no. Like, that one makes me tear up. Like, there's so many things.
Did you guys see the snowball fight commercial? It's for iPhones, some kind of phone, camera phone. It was during a football game. I said, oh my God, this. It was a long one. And these kids are battling they're trying to get this bear, it's fight to get the bear. It's like, I go, wow, this could make a good movie. It turned out it's just a commercial. I said, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Season, man. But
I didn't cry, but
sure.
Not Jay. Sherry says you all need to do another show. You all need to do another show.
Well, hey, you never know. You never know what can happen in the Jay and Jack Network. If there's another show we really want to talk about weekly. But speaking of that, there are other shows on the Jay and Jack Network, including Owen and Bruce Barbecue. Mandalorian is going strong. I think there's 3 episodes left of Mandalorian. Matt, how's it been this season?
It's been fun. I've been enjoying covering 2 shows, and I can't wait for the season to be done. I've never podcasted this much, so I mean, I know Jack's a veteran and he just goes the marathon, but me,
it makes it hard to keep up on your reading, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
You're talking 2. All right, okay, I'm done.
All right. So anyway, yeah, The Mandalorian is on. We next up this week's episode we haven't covered. It hasn't been released yet. Chapter 6. The review of that, but Jacob Parr will be on the next episode. So
Jacob Parr, I love Jacob Parr.
Yeah, he does all of the artwork for the Jay and Jack Network. So
really engaged Jacob Parr.
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So you better talk about it. I mean, say something to him about
his
it.
fiance when they were here a couple years ago at the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really, when he announced it, I thought he was already married at that point.
Well, congratulations, Jacob, and look forward to talking to you on tomorrow. So
yes, and Spar Games, like his Master Thief game, is a really fun game. So that's cool that you're having him on. Episode 6 was an interesting episode. It was the first one that kind of felt like there was real stakes in a while. So that was nice.
Yes. So and then very quickly after that, there's a chapter 7 coming out this week as well. So there'll be 2 episodes of the Owen and Bruce Barbecue out this week.
9.
And episode 9, I don't know when we're going to do a review for that. So Christmas is coming up. Really hard to get all of the barbecue guys together. So we'll see. We'll see what happens and who can get on to that show. So I would open it up to Jay. Only if and Jack, you can only come on if Jay's on there.
Oh, that's a selling. I don't want to come on.
I kid. So
in fact, if that's the only, I'll probably go out of my way not to watch the movie.
People are saying on the internet that the episode with me was one of the best. Own a Bruce ever. So.
It's a shame that the numbers don't show it, but that's okay.
No, it's fine. Let me just tweet some of these links, and then I'll bump that up a little bit.
Okay.
It's okay.
Give that Jay Gladfelter stamp of approval.
Well, if you don't like Star Wars, and I guess some people are out there that don't, but you can also listen to Jack and I on the Ramblecast After Dark, and to promote Colleen, who's in the chat, the broadcast, also podcasting. So. Mm-hmm. And
Survivor's reaching the end.
Yeah.
Possibly the end of the damn show. We'll see how it goes for the finale this week.
So exciting week for all of us. So
Indeed. Well, that will do it for this episode. Want to thank people that make the show possible. Our patrons over at patreon.com/Jay and Jack, especially Tack from Tokyo, Eckhart Richter, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with the Plan, Drake the Destroyer.
He could be Drake anything. He is a destroyer.
The Creepy Letter Carrier. Like, I know we're 6 months out, 5 months out, or whatever from May, but I'm really pumped about our next round of Fireball Island.
Yes.
I haven't played since that weekend, so I'm really. It's the only time I get to play with you knuckleheads with anybody. But excited about next round.
The next Raleigh meetup. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. And if you want to see me while I'm out in Raleigh, I will be with Jay playing Fireball. So,
are you not barbecuing with Drake?
I'm sure.
On that note, great show, guys. That was 1 in 42 billion.
Whoa!
There you go. And the number never got brought up again. She never asked him for the money again.
She made her own money, man.
That's true.
That's better.
Still, though, someone gave you $42 billion. Gotta take it.
That's money. But anyway, also if you're it's the holiday shopping season, janejack.com/Amazon. When you're making all of your purchases, helps out the Jane Jack Network. And join our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/Jack Group. Word the hell out of that. Hopefully we'll be back for a season.
I don't know if back in a season.
I'm sure Matt will be there. Jack might be alive. And
I make no guarantees on that.
I mean, if it's 35 years, I say we're 50-50. But the way I feel now, I don't want to live to be 91. I'm sorry, people. Maybe we'll transfer some of Big Blue's powers to you, Action Jackson, and then I'll help things. Maybe we'll see.
Look how it ended for him. So allegedly,
that is it. We'll see you all next time. It's been a great season. Matt, you were an amazing addition. I couldn't have imagined doing this without you.
Thank you.
And Jack, as always, 15 years of talking about TV shows with you. It's nice. No, it's great. I wouldn't think Matt couldn't think of doing it any other way. All right, until Waco and goodbye.
Again, great show, kids. One
in a million.
42 billion.
42 billion. 42, which is one of the numbers.
My mouse died.
Can't stop the show. We got.
Hold on. I got a backup mouse. USB mouse.